All right, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the difference between trading, investing, and gambling, right? And a lot of people think, oh, trading and gambling is the same thing, but it is not. But first, let's talk about just investing. Investing is any way to make money in a long-term period, right? You put your money into stocks, you put your money into any sort of indices, you invest into gold, an actual product, commodities, it doesn't matter. And you make money long-term expecting a return in a percentage of that money. So it doesn't really matter. You guys know what investing is, but right now I'm talking about trading is a short-term game, and a lot of people think it's gambling because they are correlated. And if you do think it's gambling, technically every single time you step into a car, you are gambling on your life, right? With statistics and math. And that's what gambling and trading is. It's statistics and math. It's how to make money in the markets on a short period of time. So right now I'm on the S&P. If you watch my other two videos, I describe everything, what is a market, who's behind the markets. So the difference between trading and gambling is there's a couple different things. They're both short-term ways to make money, but in a different way. And it's a complicated subject because you can trade there's so many different strategies. But I think here are the main topics that you guys need to know. So I would say that the top three differences is edge, risk management, and probably sample size. Yeah, edge, sample size, and risk management. And this is really the difference that kind of takes out trading from gambling. So either way, your edge is a positive EV, is expected value. The value that you receive back on whatever your strategy is and whatever edge you have in the market. Last I talked about inefficiency. So if you can find inefficiencies in the market, you can get an edge in the market, and you can get positive returns back on a short time period, and you can get positive EV, expected value. So, right? So your strategy really matters, but if you have an edge in the market, if you have something and you're trading some way and you found something that people haven't seen yet, and you're capitalizing on it day after day after day, and some days you may win a lot, some days you may lose a lot, but in a long-term scheme of things, after a large sample size, right? Look, sample size right here. You should be positive. You should be making money, right? So it's all sticking to a plan, and that's another thing, a plan. And I think your risk management is extremely important. So let's just say you have an account, you have $100,000. What would investing be? You put that $100,000 into the S&P, and it gives you around 9% every year. So you get $9,000. Instead, you are risking 1 to 3%. 1 to 3% every day you go into the market. And with your edge, your strategy, the way that you're finding these inefficiencies and trading them, trying to get better at trading them, is how you are going to make money. And some days you trade, some days you don't. If the inefficiency comes forward and presents itself, oh wow, look at this. So right, we're going here. Oh, inefficiency presents itself. Trade that back down, right? And I can use my short tool, and oh wow, I made money here, right? That's what I'm saying. Is all about being a trader, right? So you're trading these inefficiencies. You have a plan. You're only going to risk 1% every day, which is $1,000, and you're only going to take 1-to-1s, and you're only going to do that on the S&P. So you have a plan now. You have a strategy. You have an edge, and with a large enough sample size, you know what I mean. I will get way more into specifics later in these videos. And with risk management, if I lose that trade, I'm done for the day. If I lose one trade, I'm done for the day. Right? Now you're utilizing risk management. And now you guys can see the difference between just blindly trading. Oh, I have $100,000. I'm just going to enter long with all of it. And if I lose all my money. It's like, no, that's not, right? The trading is very, very different. We're finding inefficiencies. And by finding that inefficiency, you have an edge in the market with high enough sample size. You can validate that edge, right? Because if you trade 2 times a year and you hit both, do you really have an edge? No, obviously you don't. You could have got lucky. And that's another thing. Like with gambling, you can get lucky, but eventually you have a negative EV. What is EV, right? We talked about this, expected value, right? You're not actually getting any value from a long-term sample size. What else can I talk about? People trade anyways. There's a lot of flexibility with trading. There's a lot of different ways to trade it, but I think these are the 4 things that separate from trading and gambling. And a good way, if you guys are poker players, a good way to view trading is with your strategy and with your edge, with poker, you can be a professional poker player, right? Is that gambling? Yes. But can you be profitable? Can you make money on poker? Well, yes, you can. Can you have a plan? Okay. Can you have a sample size? Okay. Can you manage your risk? I'm only going to go in on these specific hands, or I'm using this specific strategy. I'm going to be super aggressive this entire tournament. Okay. And if you do this long enough and it works long enough, all right, now you have an edge in the market. Now you're making money. So you can apply this with anything. If you have an edge in a large enough sample size and you're managing your risk and you're not just going all in every time, and you're keeping your emotions under control, right? So with risk management, it's a lot to do with the emotional control, right? Just emotions. So you got to keep your emotions in control, right? So I think that's a big thing. And if you continue to execute your plan day after day after day, you will seek returns. And I can go in the future, you will see videos about psychology and all that stuff and how to, actually create a plan. But this is just a general idea about what is the difference between trading and gambling.